Madagascar, one of the poorest countries in the world, with an annual GDP of less than 220 euros per person. Here, the sky and the land are generous. However, the lack of infrastructure means that drinking water is unfit for consumption most of the time, or worse, simply not available. The south of the island suffers from chronic drought. The situation there is disastrous.
L'eau est tellement rare qu'on interdit aux enfants d'accéder, c'est devenu un peu la friandise des enfants, un verre d'eau. Et quand les parents vont partir dans les champs, ils vont fermer la maison et interdire aux enfants d'y accéder pour pas que les enfants ils boivent l'eau.
On the outskirts of the capital, Antananarivo, a population of 12,000 ekes out an existence in the slums of Ankesina. Urban pollution is highly concentrated here. The same muddy marsh water serves for cooking, washing, children's playground and public toilets for both people and animals, with no regard for the most basic hygiene rules. To alleviate this distress, the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France decided to take action 9,000 kilometers away from home territory. Voted by elected officials in the Greater Paris region, the piping of drinking water into the heart of Ankesina eradicates cholera and reduces the infant mortality rate. Immense difficulties remain in Ankesina, but safe drinking water has restored the population's hope and dignity. 90 minutes by air to the east of Antananarivo lies the island of Sainte-Marie. Gabriel teaches physics and chemistry here. Outside his teaching hours, he works as a facilitator with the local population, teaching good practices relating to water.
Full ton ma heri meti. Zanwe zaza full ton.
On Sainte-Marie, people have always made their living from fishing and market gardening. Water is abundant in nature, but is full of hazards. The ancestral tradition of using the beach or the bush as a toilet means the water from the hills carries pathogens to the villages and towns. These filter through to the water table. At the request of local authorities, the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France agreed to provide village after village with safe water for the whole rural population of Sainte-Marie, which still lacks access. Today, Gabriel is accompanying workers to supervise the catchment of a spring at the highest possible point in the heart of the bush. This is where the water is purest. But water has to be routed to the villages. Each new washhouse and latrine built represents considerable progress in terms of sanitation. 6 years after the first funding, the contract has been fulfilled. 13,000 people have been equipped with wells and water points and now have safe drinking water. The local authorities now need to set up a management system to maintain the infrastructures.
À partir du moment où vous avez des dépenses, il faut bien que vous ayez des recettes. Donc la pérennité, enfin la fonctionnalité de vos ouvrages et la pérennité dans le temps passe forcément par un système de recouvrement des coûts. C'est-à-dire que bon, si les gens sont particulièrement pauvres, eh bien ils payent beaucoup moins, voire c'est l'ensemble de la communauté qui est solidaire et qui paye pour eux.
In Madagascar, state resources and the idea of public services are still in their infancy. A great deal of work remains to be done, but a positive dynamic around water has already been engaged. In Vietnam, people and water are intimately linked. In the countryside, the tradition is for each dwelling to have its own well, where the family draws water, then boils it. But the water is of a very poor quality, full of microorganisms, pesticides, and chemical fertilizers due to intensive rice cultivation. Sun is 9 years old. He only recently started to wash in a bathroom. And at breakfast, he can drink his water without having to boil it. For the village of Ninh Van now has a drinking water treatment plant. This plant was funded by the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France as part of a decentralized cooperation, a cooperative project that makes use of the skills of NGOs.
La technique, c'est qu'une petite partie de notre travail. On a une grosse partie dans nos projets de sensibilisation des populations sur l'eau, sur l'hygiène, sur l'assainissement, sur l'environnement, pour essayer de changer des pratiques comportementales qui sont néfastes pour leur santé, la santé de leurs enfants. Donc ça passe par beaucoup de sensibilisation, d'animation, d'explication. Le changement d'habitude, c'est ça le plus difficile et le plus long.
In a few minutes, the new water plant at Yen Mac will be inaugurated. This is a real technical feat. The water tower is fixed to the cliff face at a height of 52 meters. But the inauguration is just one stage. Local coordinators are trained, coordinators who work door to door, promoting the safe use of water.
Mình có sẵn sàng đóng tiền, trả tiền để
không bao giờ mắc thì tôi mới đóng đi. Chưa mắc.
Còn lâu nữa mới mắc.
Không biết.
Đến bao giờ?
As in urban areas, everyone dreams of convenience. But installing equipment is expensive for these small farmers. So the regional authorities subsidize the equipment, for they are well aware that water is a key factor in the economic and social development of rural areas. To clean the board, Sun still fetches water from the school well. However, without waiting for water treatment plants to be available everywhere, a large-scale educational program is being implemented.
Trả lời đúng rồi, nhưng em bổ sung thêm là bệnh bại liệt ạ. Cô là bệnh đau bụng ạ. Cô nước muốn uống được chúng ta cần phải đun sôi ạ. Bổ sung thêm là phải rửa tay trước khi uống nước và thường xuyên cắt móng tay ạ.
Even the best facilities are no use without appropriate hygiene rules. By targeting children, Vietnam intends to introduce new behavior habits to every household. In this way, it is backing the future.
Vous n'avez jamais vu une eau qui bout? Hein? Oui?
Like all school pupils, children in Senegal learn about the different states of water. But for most of them, it is all very abstract. In sub-Saharan Africa, during the rainy season, a few holes serve as natural reservoirs. But for the 9 months of the dry season, water hides itself in the depths of the earth. Traditional wells are sometimes kilometers away. Hours of exhausting walking is the lot for women like Amin Daye.
ndax bi ñuy dem ci teen yi daa wut a dugg di nelaw boo musaan reer yaa ngi ci teen bi di root ndax teen bi dafa gudd juróom-ñetti fukki mètre la woon da ngay ñoddi sa loxo yëpp dafa doon def ay kii dafa dëgër ka nga yooyu ñu daan boot di nekk ci teen bi naaju di leen jàpp xale dañoo xiiboon tuuti doo am temps pour nampal heure rek.
In the savannah, a village with no water is condemned over the medium to long term. The exhausted population is tempted by the town. In Mbos, the inhabitants of the 12 villages are very attached to their agricultural life. They have grouped together to refuse the predictable exodus to Dakar. Through their determination, the NGO Eau Vive was able to sign an agreement with the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France. They decided to drill a well and pump water from the depth of 250 meters. a water tower emerged from the savannah. Water flows in the village squares. Street fountains are becoming the daily meeting place for women and children. Each basin is a unit of measurement, 22 litres per basin. For these sub-Saharan villagers who know how scarce it is, water has a price they set themselves.
Le gratuit tue le développement. Mais pour que ce soit leur projet, il faut qu'ils mettent leur effort, il faut qu'ils mettent leur engagement, mais il faut qu'ils participent financièrement. La participation financière est vraiment gage de pérennité des projets et gage de responsabilisation.
With the support of the Eau Vive team, the community of villagers at Mbos has recently set up an exemplary collective management system. The meters of the fountains are read, money is collected each day by the fountain operator and is entered into the accounts. Once a month, the representatives of the 12 villages attend the management committee meeting. Today, Amin Daye is treasurer. The president counts the receipts from the sale of water, but there are operating expenses, the most important of which is the fuel which runs the pump. It weighs heavily on the budget.
Gasoil 220.
The women, who take turns at operating the street fountains, come to collect their wages, along with the mechanic, who takes care of the pump and the water tower. Every month, despite the difficulties balancing the accounts, the inter-village committee strives to make a profit. A sum of money that Amin Daye will pay into the nearest bank. A sum that will be used to repair the water infrastructures when the need arises.
Monsieur le Président, je suis heureux de vous rencontrer.
Christian Cambon, an elected official from the Greater Paris region and vice president of the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France. The villagers welcome him warmly and solemnly. They know how much life has changed since water arrived.
Vraiment, ça change le rapport social. Et si la femme à la merci de l'homme ne peut pas participer dans tout ce qui est développement, éducation, donc ce qui peut lui donner un peu plus de liberté, c'est d'avoir un peu plus de sources de revenus. Et l'eau a amené ça dans le village.
Since producing water is no longer an exhausting task taking all day, and operating the fountain earns a salary, women have been able to invest in commercial activities. Thanks to the available water, in the community of villagers at Mbos, a virtuous economic circle has started to thrive. Improving living conditions in terms of sanitation and social relations has had an immediate impact on school attendance. The local school is now too small to accommodate all the children. At Ankesina in Madagascar, the arrival of drinking water enabled the building of a social centre and a school, which is reducing illiteracy for the first time. Voted in 2005, the Oudin-Santini law allows French local authorities to contribute up to 1% of their water and sanitation revenues to developing cooperation activities. Financing water treatment plants, digging wells, collecting spring water and training coordinators requires a considerable budget. This is generated by customers of the Syndicat des Eaux Île-de-France to the rate of 60 eurocents per cubic meter.
Le prélèvement équivaut à 1 euro par an et par famille. 1 euro par an et par famille, c'est-à-dire le prix d'un stylo bille comme celui-ci. Imaginons que d'autres collectivités territoriales françaises d'importance nous rejoignent. Imaginons que d'autres collectivités territoriales européennes nous rejoignent. On arrivera peut-être à des chiffres beaucoup plus significatifs. Et tout notre combat est d'en faire des masses suffisamment importantes pour apporter des solutions concrètes.
There are still many districts and villages in the world that lack access to drinking water. Experts estimate that an annual $30 to $50 billion would be required to meet the Millennium Objectives by 2015. Just because this sum seems astronomical, should we give up?
jóge na pare tubaab jóge na pare ñëw kër maam Ade tubaab jóge na pare tubaab jóge na pare ñëw fee tubaab jóge na pare ñëw kër Adi ñange tubaab jóge na pare waay tubaab jóge na pare waay tubaab jóge na pare ñëw kër maam Ade tubaab jóge na pare samba tubaab jóge na pare ñëw fee tubaab jóge na pare ñëw kër maam Ade tubaab jóge na pare waay samba mayaan